my name's Krista Lentz, and I work for Penn Insurance. I've been working for them for about 10 years now. And specifically in the mid-market underwriter role, I've been doing that for 4 years.
My name's Tim Price. I'm a producer here at HMK Insurance in Bethlehem. I primarily operate in the construction space as my specialty. I've been at HMK for about 9 months, close to a year now. But prior to that, I had extensive experience in both the underwriting and the brokerage world for construction. This one was definitely a unique risk that came across our desk. It was found to us on a cold call, but basically they had been struggling with some service issues with their agent. What made this one a little bit more difficult is that they operated in the demolition space, not to the point of wrecking buildings and knocking them down, but they were doing most of the interior work before another contractor came in to do a fit out. The challenge that they had is that they were lumped into a category of being a demolition contractor. But we knew that there was more of a story to tell with this one, because a lot of standard carriers are writing these types of exposures, just not in a sole fashion. It's a portion of some of these other contractors' business, this interior fit out and things like that. But it's not their sole focus, whereas this company, it was. So we identified this risk as, first of all, an opportunity for service, but also a way to get them out of the surplus lines market with some of our carrier partners. And Krista and I have had a really good experience working with tougher risks that required a little bit more story and background on the risk itself. So Krista, naturally, the day after we met, was one of the first people I reached out to, and we had a great conversation and started the ball rolling. But that's just a little bit about the risk and some of the initial challenges that we had. But we knew we had an opportunity, not only for our agency, but also for Penn National to get involved on it as well.
So when Tim first reached out to me with the risk, initially, I saw demolition. The surplus lines thing is always tough, just those factors kind of made me real hesitant at first. We kind of talked about it and I was like, well, and I had the demolition class code on the GL. But one thing Tim does a great job at is he fully explains, what they're actually doing. It wasn't just surface level, here's a demolition contractor. He took time to explain that they're not taking down full buildings. It's really more of a, tearing down the walls, the flooring, that kind of stuff that, makes it truly not have quite the risk that a true demolition contractor would have. So once we get over that initial hurdle, and that was really the tough part because, it's kind of a tough sell when it has demolition in the name too. That adds a little extra to it. That's, icing on the cake. But so I had to go to our home office. They have to approve anything, with that class code on it. So that was, a little bit of a struggle, and just really digging in and getting more information into the risk was the key part to it. And that was the part that Tim really helped out with. I think, some agents, if we would have had this in from them, it might not have even gotten past the first conversation. So, I definitely applaud Tim for that part of it. And so then once we were able to get home office to agree to it, we kind of had a quick turnaround time to get it quoted. It just, kind of like the ball just started really rolling from there. And then, luckily we were able to kind of meet Tim's deadline of getting it turned around pretty quickly and produce, a competitive enough quote to write it.
This had been in the works, and we had the submission in and had a good amount of understanding and data of what it actually was, and what we had to do, I think, and what Krista had to do on her end, which she did so well, was kind of just reclassify the GL a little bit and make sure that we had the right class code. In terms of additional information, we had such an open dialogue that there really wasn't much back and forth, from a submission to quoting, timeline, because we had everything that we needed already ready to go. But, so while Krista didn't request, too much additional information, I think it's because we already had that conversation before it was even submitted and didn't have to worry about any of that, which really is, once again, a testament to Penn National, not only for Krista's openness to being able to listen to what I was saying during our conversations, our preliminary conversations, but also the turnaround time. I think we had our last conversation at 5:30 on a Friday, and Monday she was emailing me at 7 in the morning saying that she was wrapping everything up, and we had a quote in 3 hours. I mean, it was unbelievable turnaround, and it was renewing that night. The additional information that was required, Krista already had, and it's because she asked the right questions. So I hope that answers your question.
No, and I think jump in. A lot of it goes to you, Tim. I mean, he's just does a really, really good job of providing me with everything that we would need to know. He goes above and beyond and kind of providing detail into the risk and what it actually, what they're actually doing. So that is a huge help on my end, and that's what made it easier to do the job. So really what it came down to is just getting it through our rating system as quickly as possible. The applications were thorough. So, I mean, I can't emphasize enough what a huge difference that makes. Just made it all better for my rating department to get it to me. And then as soon as they had it to me, I just was kind of working on stuff behind the scenes and then had it ready to go once I had it on my end.
So when I got the quote, I'll backtrack. When I got the first email at 10 after 7, I said, "Dang, she's on it. No, we're gonna be all right." So when I got the quote, it was probably around 10:30. So like I said, like a 3-hour turnaround, and not only the coverages that they were providing, but their willingness to quote the entire account. I think that's another piece here that can maybe go awry here, is that the comp was included, and the umbrella was included. It wasn't just here's a portion of it and good luck finding the rest. They really committed to this account, and that helped me tremendously on a short timeline. When I went to go review the quote with the insured, I got in my car and drove down to Phoenix, down towards Philadelphia, and we had discussed, look, you're moving from this, what's called the excess and surplus, to the standard. And it was a world of knowledge that this insured got of what they were missing out on from being in the excess and surplus lines market to the standard market. A true umbrella is a perfect example. They only had a true excess going over their general liability. Now they had to drop down over their comp and their auto. The additional coverages for their different tools and equipment on the inland marine that they never had. They never had coverage for these things. So it was so satisfying and rewarding for me to present it to them, because this risk was truly a pristine risk, really well run, organized, loss-free. They deserved to be with a great partner like Penn National. And I'm so happy that Krista and the Penn National team, because it had to get run up, were so flexible and understanding and willing to listen to this story, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a fantastic performing account for them, and they'll probably have it for years. So,
and that's so nice to hear. I don't get to see that behind the scenes stuff of, when you get to meet with the insured, the things that they might be missing out on. Being with a surplus lines carrier, that's something that, didn't even think about when working on it. So that's nice to hear that they're getting better coverage.
Yeah, it was awesome. And they, and the other thing is, I'll go back to the service of the prior agent they were with, is, they knew that they had insurance, but they didn't know what their insurance actually was. And so to be able to explain that, the meeting ended up being about 2.5 hours. And the reason being is because I wanted to show them how far they've come just from being able to go from that market to this market. And it wouldn't have happened without Penn National, that's for sure.
So I think the huge thing is the direct line of communication. The fact that Tim and I have a good relationship and we've worked on other accounts together makes a huge difference, because you get a level of comfort with each other. The information that's being provided is accurate. And I just can't stress enough, just calling your underwriter, talking to them, just reaching out on accounts, even if you think it might be a long shot, just give it a try. And, you never know, it might be just a day where the appetite for something, something has changed. You just never know. So it's just really, really key. And that part of it. And then also the detailed information that Tim provides, like, that just makes a huge difference in really getting comfort level with the risk, and shows you that he knows what he's working on. He knows what account he has. And it just makes a big difference when I'm looking at it from my angle.
Yeah, yeah. My first piece of advice is to get amazing account executives like I have, Mary DiMartini and Laura Gwynn. That's the first step, because without them, I'd be nothing. No, I think with approaching Krista and Penn National, my background had a little bit of underwriting experience, and what I always loved was having those open conversations. And it's how I approach a lot of these accounts and pretty much everything with Krista. We're going to start working on an account here and that I'm working on here soon. But it's just that open dialogue and, having the conversation. It's different when you send submissions in with the Accords. Even if you have a good narrative, sometimes it might just be helpful to pick up the phone and say, hey, I sent this one into you and I'm really excited about it, and here's why. Because, we're all out here to, number one, help our clients, but we're here to write business. So I think that Krista, the way that we jive together is when I call her and I say, hey, I have a good one for you. She gets excited too. Was that right, Krista? Would you say so?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's that mutual, the desire to mutually benefit from a single cause, I think, is that we both are here to write business. And now it's being selective too. It's, picking the right account to be excited about, I suppose, too. But that open line of communication is so crucial, and getting to know the best way to communicate with your underwriter. And for me and Krista, I think it's the phone. We just pick up the phone, call each other. So that's probably the best way. Just get your underwriter excited about something by showing your enthusiasm towards the account, instead of just sending in a submission and saying, please quote at your earliest.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good point to make, because it does make a difference when you have that human interaction of like, hey, I have this account, I'm really excited about it. It does kind of ramp up, you really makes me want to go the extra mile, just, do my due diligence and make sure it's something, try to help you out wherever we can.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Krista, again.
No, thank you, Tim. I appreciate it.